mesh analysis. And, oh no, this is, well, am I going to use mesh analysis? Let me see if I have what I have in my notes. I did not. I did node voltage. It looks like it's set up for mesh, but I'm glad I didn't, because I don't like using mesh if I can use nodal analysis. So I'm going to use nodal analysis. Okay, so so solve for the node voltages in the figure. So I'm going to use nodal analysis. You may or may not remember from circuits 1 that if I have two voltage sources separated by, two nodes separated by a voltage source, I can make that a supernode.
Right.
And so my supernode, one equation I'll get is I will say that V1 minus V2, the positive side minus the negative side, equals the value of the voltage source, so 10 equals 0. So that is one of my equations. And then my other equation is just going to be one equation that I write using both of these nodes. And if you remember, the way you do node voltage is you take the node minus the node on the other side of the resistor or the impedance divided by the impedance. And so, and then you add all those together, and that is going to equal 0. And so ordinarily, we would do one equation for V1 and one for V2, but since we have a supernode, we can do them all in the same equation. So I'll start by saying V1 over 10 plus, and then I'll do V1 over J20 plus, and then I'll do V2 over 15, and then plus V2 over negative J5 equals 0. So those are my two equations. So I have that equation, and then I have V minus V2 equals 10 angle 0. V1 minus V2 equals 10 angle 0. And so let's see. Let's.
Can you scroll up for a moment?
This way?
Yes, I'm sorry, I had to write it down.
Oh, that's okay. Just tell me when you're ready.
I'm all good now, thank you.
Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say V1 equals 10 plus V2, because 10 angle 0 is just 10. So I can say 10 plus V2 over 10 plus 10 plus V2 over J20 plus V2 over 15 plus V2 over minus J5 equals 0. Now, you can always bring a J from the denominator to the numerator, or from the numerator to the denominator if you change its sign. And here's why. Let me just explain this for a second. If I have 1 over J, if I multiply that by J over J, then I get J over J squared, which is J over negative 1, which is negative J. So 1 over J equals negative J. Similarly, if I had J and I multiplied it by J over J, I would get negative 1 over J. So J equals negative 1 over J, or 1 over J equals negative J. So I'm going to use that on my equation. to make it easier to solve this equation, I'll bring all the j's to the numerator. So I have 10 plus v2 over 10 plus j10 plus jv2 over, was that a 10? Or that was a 20? That was a 20. Plus v2 over 15, except when I brought it up it needed to be a negative. So negative j10, negative jv2, and then I'll change the sign of this one so it becomes positive, plus jv2 over 5 equals 0. So what I did is any of the ones that had j in the denominator, I brought the j to the numerator, but I made it negative. So now I have, I could have a common denominator of 30. And if I multiply through by that, I'll get 30 plus 3v2. No, 30 doesn't work. 4 and 5 and 3. Do I have to use 60? So that would give me 60 plus 6v2 minus j30 minus j3v2 plus 4v2 plus 12jv2 equals 0. So now let's see what we've got here. I've got a 6v2 and a 4v2. That makes a 10v2. I've got a minus j3v2 and a plus 12jv2, so that's plus 9jv2. And then taking to the other side, I'll have a minus 60 plus j30. And then I factor out a v2. And I get 10 plus j9 equals minus 60 plus j30. Our v2 equals minus 60 plus j30 over 10 plus j9. And then now we'll see how many mistakes I made and how many y'all are holding out on me. Let's see. And that's actually the right answer. Huh. Okay, so V2 equals 4.986 angle 111.45. Now, unfortunately, we know that V1 minus V2 equals 10 angle 0. So V1 minus 4.986 angle 111.45 equals 10 angle 0. And so that means V1 equals 10 angle 0 plus 4.986 angle 111.45. But these we can't add together easily. So if you had to do this without a calculator, you would change them to rectangular and then add them together. But I am not going to do that. I'm just going to take this and add 10 and say change that answer to polar. And I get 9.4 angle 29.6, which is correct. So V1 equals 9.402 angle 29.58.
Hey, Miss Rebecca.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. I just want to clarify if you're recording the Zoom meeting or not, because I've missed a lot of it.
I am recording the individual problems. I'm not recording the Zoom, but I'm recording the problems that I'm going to post.
Oh, okay, that's perfectly fine. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
You're welcome. Yeah, but when I pull up the Zoom, when I pull up to ask questions, I turn it off when I'm done with the problem, but all the recording is there. Okay, so speaking of which, I'm about to stop the recording unless there are any questions that y'all want to have on the recording, and then I'll answer any other questions you have. Okay, so I'm going to stop this.